The fact that they've opted into engage in the support role, though, Mirage, I will say, does give them tools to start out fights and get Cody Sun some leads if he obviously moves around and roams in with the team. The Talia locked in the mid lane, actually something... Oh, not the mid lane, excuse me. The potential flex pick of mid lane and jungle, something that we haven't necessarily seen since she got her rework and got her buff come through. But Memento or Rangjin, whoever it is that takes that, certainly going to have a little bit more agency to make plays cross-map, and with your first pick of a safe side Gnar, a Talia that could potentially be in the mid lane, all signs are pointing to focusing that bot side.
Yeah, absolutely. Just put your headphones in, Star Guardian, Talia session stuff on. That thing absolutely slaps. As final lock-in this first rotation for Opline is going to be that Amumu, seeing heavy prioritization of that in the support role. So jungler and AD carry left for Opline to pick up. Mirage have got a little bit more flexibility, though.
Yeah, we don't know quite where that Talia is going to be going. They still do need an ADC, though, and we see this Olaf ban taken away from Shenfire. He played it last game, didn't come quite to the same success, but has had a win on the Olaf so far this split. Tristana taken away as well, and Oplan here, they have to be setting up, it feels like, for an ADC take on 4, unless they're banning away their own ADs. They've got the Amumu here, so they can go for something fairly aggressive. We'd seen Kalista seemingly slip through everything. Fit pairs really nicely with the Amumu, and with the Tristana taking away the Kai'Sa as well. These seem like the two that you would pick into a Kalista, so it seems fairly straightforward if they want that.
Yeah, you can flip it up as well, though. Go for the Ezreal. Yeah, boo! Ezreal's chill. It's a safe pick in the lane. It's going to free up Twist to actually get around the map and start impacting these lanes, where Peng is obviously the person that we're talking about as the main carry for Oplan. So I think drafting with that in mind. However, it does mean that it's a lot harder to actually counter what Oplan have put forward in this bot lane.
I feel like I need to validate my booing a little bit here. It's not that Ezreal is a bad pick, it's more so it's not that what I would have specifically wanted. Ezreal, obviously, like you just touched on, certainly has his own strengths, and we need to sort of see if those get played to a little bit here. With the Twitch locked in, this is sort of what you open yourself up for when you take an Ezreal. You take one safe ADC, it opens up for another ADC by Cody, which is all intents and purposes a little bit weaker in the early stages, but that's not going to be punished by an Ezreal necessarily, so you have that free reign to go for it. So they sort of default back to a fairly more or a little bit more scaling in their team composition, which they kind of needed, I'll be honest with you, because they're staring down a Gangplank, a Zia, and an Ezreal, who all in the late game really, really hurt. So they've got themselves their own little pack to punch as well.
Yeah, you don't win at that point in the game unless you've got something really impressive that you can throw into it. Important to note, though, that with the Diego lock-in, it does mean that this is going to be a Talia mid lane for Rangjin, and Shenfire pulling out something a little bit spicy with a Nocturne.
Okay, interesting. And whenever you save jungler for R5, I'm hoping that it's not just going to be something that we've seen 17 times already this season. Nocturne, certainly not.
R5 Volibear. R5 Volibear. Love it.
Thank God it got banned, hey? That's something that I wouldn't put past them, to be honest. Either way, it is obviously a nice pick to take for Shenfire. Gives him some engage tools, and it is nice to have a diving buddy for your Amumu. Twist, like we mentioned, had a very stellar game on it yesterday, so seeing it here once again makes absolutely no surprises to me, and certainly gives them free reign to find those engagements, particularly off the back of Nocturne as well, being very good secondary follow-up.
Yeah, you've got that strong engage, but you've also got the ability to deal actually a fair bit of damage from range. Those GP barrel chains, the Azir, Ezreal as well. So you've got a few people that are going in, and the rest of everyone could sort of sit back a little further and stay out of threat range of Mirage. Though I feel like Mirage's composition is standard in terms of identities, if maybe a little bit weirder in terms of picks.
Yeah, they want a team fight. I feel like that's something that we can just blanket put out there. They've got Gnar, great team fighter. Viego, great with resets. Twitch, also great with resets. Talia going to do very well as well at stopping those engages. If that Unraveled Earth is down, both the Amumu and the Nocturne are going to struggle getting in.
It's going to be hard to find those engages, but it's not going to be hard to head onto the Rift, as we are going to be jumping into game very shortly. We'll see you in a sec. Okay, everybody, welcome onto the Rift here for Mirage Eliandra versus OPL on Summoner's Rift. It's an absolute banger. I love these little intros, man. Cool.
Credit, shout out, little clap, everybody. Everybody, shout out production. We don't do it enough.
Yes.
Luigi with his lovely little cameras, doing really good work behind the scenes. Shout out to everybody. Brandon running things.
I hope we haven't missed First Blood.
That would be great. That'd be great if we just shout them out. They've missed the First Blood. Betty as well, running main obs for us. Everybody behind the scenes working so incredibly hard and so incredibly well. So kudos to the team, making us and the players look as good as possible.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, we both need it. I think so.
Yeah, definitely. You more than me, but...
Whoa! That was pretty rude, dude.
No way, man.
What?
Whenever any... So, I'll give you some rude lore right now.
Okay,
The earliness, the etymology of my name, big word for everyone, is that my nickname growing up was actually just Roo. R-O-O, and I thought, oh, sticking dude at the end of that sounds cool, and then I was like, oh, I'll spell the dude differently, and you know that's how my name came to be. But since in the casting sphere and in the sort of online world, I've been shortened to Rude more so than anything else. So whenever anybody says Rude Dude, there's no second D in the middle of the name, and whenever you say things like that, that's pretty rude, dude. I just think of absolute surfer dudes and the
man.
Yeah, the stereotypes that come with it.
That's pretty rude, dude. Well, I mean, I've got the look for it. There is a League of Legends game occurring. Junglers both starting towards the top side of the map, so recognizing that both these supports have a fair bit of engage in the bot lane, and maybe this Viego could take advantage of that.
And I think that if we're looking at our junglers to take advantage early on, it has to be Memento. If I see a Nocturne gank pre-6, typically I'm very, very sad, not just because, depending on its success variable. If it's successful, I'm sad for the team that got ganked by a pre-6 Nocturne. If I see a pre-6 Nocturne gank unsuccessfully, I'm like, what did you ever expect to happen? But Viego, though, to talk about the benefits, of course, of the Mirage squad, can do things early on, does have tools, does have that fairly ease of execution gank window that you can go for. Obviously, at level 6, it becomes a lot better, as tends to be the case with many champions, but there is still that tool for Memento to make things happen early on. Both of our junglers are pathing down towards this bot side, pathing toward the two teams, or the two champions, that have got some heavy engage, just in case there's any spiciness to occur.
Oh, talking about heavy engage, talking about heavy carry potential as well for Cody Son on this Twitch. Well and truly an AD carry that goes, I am going to win this game, whether my team wants me to or not. Interestingly enough, though, when Mirage's bot lane, when Cody and Raxo actually moved to try and spot out where Shermfire is actually clearing, they placed the ward very, very shallow in that river, so they actually don't know that the Nocturne is on the blue just yet.
May well see Memento find out firsthand, as an engage does come through. I don't expect this is going to be too powerful.
Tavista trading hooks with Raxo in the bot lane, and Shermfire, I believe, was able to secure that blue without too much issue.
I want to talk about the issues that we have that I have with these bot laners.
Okay.
We have two very heavy engaged supports with two ADCs that could not care less about fighting in the early game. Both Twitch and the Ezreal are kind of there like, I mean, cool. You used your spells, but I want to hit these creeps. If I spend time hitting the champions, first of all, I'm going to do very little damage at this stage in the game. And then second of all, you're making me miss my creeps to get me to that late game point where I will start to deal damage. Let's hold the fort a little bit. Maybe we can, give a little bit of time before we start finding these engages. And this is sort of why I'm expecting to see the classic support thing that we see very frequently, which is we simply take one reset and then never go bot lane.
Yeah. It's the Julius Caesar cosplay. Because you're Roman.
Moving on. That was very good, though, actually. That was very good. If I wasn't mid-cough, I would have actually appreciated it.
Yeah, I got very good, and we're like moving on straight away. Okay, man.
Sorry, I got caught off guard. That one's better used. You deserve a better colour than me to give you some hype for that one.
Oh, no. You're absolutely perfect for me, Rude Dude.
Thank you.
Talking about those junglers, it's actually a minus CS lead being accrued by Memento as it stands, and looking at jungle camps, pretty much even for both of these players. So Shenfire already falling to a little bit of a deficit. That's not what you want to be seeing from this Nocturne.
No, he needs to continually pick up the pace, particularly when we're talking about the fact that he's not really doing anything outside of farming. So the fact that he's not doing that particularly great certainly doesn't bode all that well. It is sort of the nature, I suppose, of Viego, going to be clearing a little bit faster. I think he was able to steal away a count. That's the only way I can see him, having got to this point so early on, and using a little bit of that early game Viego control that we're expecting to have over the Nocturne to make some plays happen.
Also a little bit of the control that Rangjin has this mid lane. Steals away the big Raptor. You let the mini fidgets go, but you got the original recipe chicken just fine.
Nicely done. And again, really nice utilization of this early prio, like you mentioned, Rangjun as well, able to move into the jungle just to support. He doesn't necessarily do too much, but it lets them know that, or rather, it lets Shenfire know that he needs to be a little bit more cognizant of, you know, the time in which he's taking to clear, and maybe just if his mid lane can move.
And Rude, we had a very action-packed time on the Rift last game. As it stands, it's been a little bit lower action so far. Maybe that's going to be changing with this Drake, which has been on the Rift for a minute or so, and both junglers around the bottom half of the map.
Need to keep our eyes on if anything does occur from these. Obviously, we've got Twist making his move out of the bot lane already. First reset has come through. Shockingly, no boots to start off for the support of Arplon. That Ruby Crystal is going to give a bit more durability through these fights if we do end up seeing any.
Shenfire blowing the spell shield, but Mirage don't really have anything that they can follow up with. They do now have the lion's share of control around this Drake pit, so we're going to start up that mountain, and drop one here, no real reason to contest.
I wonder if you can help me a little bit, Middle Cop. Is that saying the line, as in like you've drawn a line? Share? Oh, never mind. Never mind.
Yeah, as we are going to be seeing a fight. Twist caught out, taken out, first blood for Cody Sun, but the rest of Oplon are turning up. Peng is level 6 and Rangjin going to be the sacrificial Talia 1-for-1 in the bot side river.
Honestly, worthwhile for Oplon. They get the one kill onto their Azir, and it is taking down the mid laner versus taking down the support. So ultimately, that Ruby Crystal durability had absolutely no impact. But it was nice to see that Mirage are trying to at least make some proactive plays through the early stages. Getting that dragon on the board is something that we can never underestimate. That these early Drakes sometimes do have very large implications later on in the game. If you just seemingly find yourself losing the next 3 Drakes, if we see the game start to slowly scale out of their control, that one Drake can stave you off 5 minutes of doom for, you know, something like a soul that is going to end the game comes through.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we've had a lot of focus around the bottom side of the map, Ridu, which I think has been warranted, given where that's been most of the action happening. But we are now looking up here against Bad Lulu and Dalek up in this top side. CS basically even, and for a champion that scales as well as the GP does, I imagine that Dalek is going to be feeling pretty happy about this.
Now, you'll recall right the way back to the draft, I said that I don't like Nabi 1.
What about,
I feel like it.
What about
once again? Go on.
GP.
Go on.
What about GP R1 into Nabi 1?
I love that. I love that. That's I mean, I'm very happy.
Oh, Peng gets the Shurima shuffle into the paranoia. Flash follows with the tether. And Rangjin goes down for the second time this game. Memento. And a little bit of a 1v2 scenario, but goes forward with a Heartbreaker strike. And might be looking for Peng now. The fear. The tether is going to come through, but the ultimate backwards doesn't want to risk going down.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And you'll realise this game, Middlecop, I am very bloodthirsty when I tend to spectate League of Legends. If you're not coin flipping every single fight, slight annoyance on my part, but I can perfectly understand why he takes the 1-for-1 there and then backs out. It's a good trade, but once again, it is Rangjin falling. And sort of as we alluded to early on in the game, on the draft, that happened.
Yeah, Twist is dead. That's not great.
It's not great, but ultimately it's the same sort of philosophy that we gave to last game, where killing the Amumu is great to get gold onto Cody, but it's not so dissuading of removing Bung's agency in the game.
Oh, I'm really sorry. Let's hold that thought. Memento's in the top lane. Dalek is going to be able to eat those oranges, but is he going to be K? Hyperprox, not quite enough from Bad Lulu to take out the pirate in the top side. And I just want to touch on something. We saw Raxo throw out a dredge line there that was so obviously missing onto Bung, but was just trying to get advantage of the little lollipop effect that has at the end. To try and catch someone off guard. I like that plays Mirage. got that Drake a few minutes ago, now turning their attention towards this Herald, double dipping on the early objectives. This is a good way to start your game.
Double dipping, not usually very good, but this time around Mirage making the most of that, selecting both of their objectives of choice. Now Schönfire,
No.
a little bit of Dora the Explorer cosplay going on right now, but he's got the support of Boots ready in tow.
Have you seen Dora?
Maybe.
I don't think she looks. I don't think she looks like a Turnham Nocturne.
Well, okay, stylistically then, the fact that Schönfire, with all 9 turrets up for Mirage, is wandering past the enemy red buff. Exploration factor.
Yeah, do you know what? Yeah, that sounds Dora-esque. Now you put it like that. Fair enough.
Give me an E. Give me an X. I'm not going to go all the way through exploring.
I can't be asked for that. I can't
way
be asked
too
for that.
long.
We have been talking a bit about what Mirage have been doing in this early game, and that has translated into sort of leads for Cody Sun in this bot lane, 2 kills on this Twitch. Blader and King completed, going to be feeling very good. Memento in a pretty similar spot, but if you look in the mid lane, Peng is absolutely demolishing Rangjun.
And this was what we talked about coming into the game itself. It was, granted, not quite the same ideology that we'd theorized. It was more so that Twist would be the roamer that's making things happen and setting Rangjun behind. But the by and large of it is the same, that with us, or with myself, I suppose, praising Rangjun, the carry force that we're looking to for Mirage, getting him set behind overall is going to have a slightly more negative impact on Mirage than maybe we would anticipate coming into the game. It is, however, worth mentioning, of course, that for the misgivings that Rangjun has had in the mid lane, Cody Sun is sat 2-0 on the Twitch, Blade of the Ruin King completed, and will be very scary throughout potentially the remainder of the game. He's sort of bypassed that early game scare factor that you have as the Twitch, and now has his first item, can start to take trades, and potentially is going to be a menace the later the game goes.
I'm really intrigued as to how Bung's going to play this, because one of the most horrible counters into the Ezreal, stuff like the Kai'Sa and the Vayne, where they can just permanently engage on you whilst your support is roaming. Twitch, I feel like, falls into a pretty similar category, and this guy's not had a lot of time with OPL, has only played, this is only his second game, so maybe could get caught out on the side lane, and Cody Sun could be using that to further put himself more ahead.
I know Cody has been looking for these looks, and thus far Bunk has seemed fairly immune to them, so thus far passing the check. But the later the game goes, the more those looks cost.
Oh, gets hit by the Herkers. In goes Twist. The Wombo combo. So many abilities thrown out as Peng gets the Shreema Shuffle, but trades. 2 kills for Cody Sun. The Twitch is absolutely massive as Bung gets caught by the hook. It's a 3rd kill. It's a 4th kill. That one goes to Rangjun, and Mirage turned the fight around.
And the target selection for OPL just not there. They focus everything onto Rangjun and Memento. Granted, you take away one of the resets, but Cody was absolutely fine that entire fight, free hitting, full HP the entire duration, and they were more than happy to let this Twitch sit and free hit them. They will not make that same mistake again. Got to credit Raxo for that fight. There was so much, such a good depth charge, actually. Oh, Olak almost died. But
they did.
To touch on the team fight again a little bit, hopefully, bad Lulu. Okay.
I was really worried he was just gonna like headbutt.
I was waiting for there to be more, and then,
there wasn't more. There wasn't more.
Yeah, and then there was less, and then it was a TP, and everything sort of petered out. Ultimately, flash burned for Dalek in that top side does give Bad Lulu a little bit now of a window to maybe capitalize on that opportunity to, no flash GP, potentially try and kill them.
Yeah.
Mento could go up there, have a little look as well. Blade of the Ruin King on the Blade of the Ruin King, love to see it. And thus far,
I want to see Memento cast Blade of the Ruin King on the Blade of the Ruin King, and then proccing his Blade of the Ruin King from the passive. I like that.
And I want you to call it out as it happens. In the middle of the team fight.
Just screaming Blade of the Ruin King like 3 times as loud as possible.
King ruined her. That's my impression for you. Yeah, that's why I'm not the play-by-play.
Yeah, maybe not, Rude Dude. There's 40 minutes into this game, turret plates have now fallen off, and it's actually Mirage who has sat here. 4 kills up, 2k up, 2 dragons up, and for a team that have found advantages before, so Rude Dude, I'm not going to ask how do OPL come back into this game. How did Mirage lose this?
Oh, well, let's... You know, the thing is with Mirage, you never know. It's a lucky dip. It could be anyway. They've got so many ways. But what they do have are decidedly decent win conditions right now. A 5-0 Twitch, something I was always happily take into the late game. The way that they lose then here, to give you a decent enough answer, is OPL go for really good engages with those tools that they have, the Nocturne, the Amumu, and actually kill Cody Sun. The disengage tools for Mirage do exist if they play them correctly. Raxo, we got to see last team fight, actually had a very powerful Nautilus ultimate, which stopped the engage dead in its tracks. Peng went for a swoop, he didn't manage to find it, and it was, you know, it pretty much stifled the entire force that we had from OPL. But if we see the engagement from Shern, from Twist, onto that Twitch, there's a very real possibility that he doesn't have the ways to get out to safety. There's a cleanse available, yes, but no Gale Force, for example, finished just yet. And that, you know, escape potential versus a Nocturne of all things. Gale Force actually doesn't get you out to safety. You need your flash as well.
Yeah, it's the nature of playing in a game where all of your resources, all of your carry potential is on one guy. And if Cody Sun is going to be able to pilot these team fights cleanly, without being caught out, without being focused down by Shernfire, then great. But if that does happen, things start to look pretty bad for Mirage. Picking up this Rift Herald now, going to be their second of the game. So Mirage really pushing forward, taking these advantages that they're getting and gaining something with it.
Yeah, unfortunately, just a little bit of a pause here whilst we make sure that everything is okay. Competitive integrity is certainly something that's very important to everybody in these ERL leagues. But like you mentioned, Mirage have done a good job at picking up those leads so far through the early stages. Now we need to see if that development is there. And I think that for Mirage in particular, this is a really good game to showcase it, because ultimately they are up against the next worst team. Statistically speaking, OPL have got the next least amount of wins in the league. So if there was any game for Mirage to really try and put their foot down and find a lead itself, and find the win rather more so than anything, this would be it.
And they do need to keep going forward, because as we touched on in draft, GP, Azir, Ezreal, these are champions that you really can't ignore once they get to that sort of 3-4 items point. Which is going to be really bad, as I think we're jumping back into game. Nice brief pause there. Easily executed. Memento picking up that Rift Herald, moving towards the top side. Dalek potentially in danger.
We'll have to keep our eyes on whether or not that Dark GP with no flash does get punished. Looks like it's not going to be the case, but with complete control on the top side for Mirage, it does mean that this bot side is now going to be a little bit more focused by OPL, as Peng with some nice fancy feet gets out to safety. The Herald in the mid lane is going to break this tier 1 turret open. Nothing really to be said about that, and they could go for a little bit more here. Resources from OPL, not necessarily here, but remember, Nocturne, fairly long-range ultimate, can engage from a distance if we see the rest of the cast get there.
You got to look at Twist on the other side, as Peng is actually caught out in the mid lane, not respecting the engage potential that Mirage do have, and all those flanks, they're worthless now.
Yeah, unlucky. Raxo, the one win that Mirage have got, I will say, was Raxo playing Thresh, another hook champion, and Raxo looked incredible on that pick when they played it, when they won the game. I'm going to go for an extra one.
Weaver's Wall trying to cut off Bung.
TP.
Still has the Arcane Shift, still has the TP. Gets out with his life. This does mean that OPL have ceded all pressure around this Drake. Peng is going to be respawning in a few seconds and has that teleport. Mirage, they need to do this quickly.
Absolutely pooped out of there, but they're going in.
Oh, huge ultimate from Twist as Shernfire comes through with the follow-up, but they're not able to get the burst down quick enough. The Amumu is dead, the Nocturne is dead, and the carries for Mirage are still standing. The Dragon is going to be falling down. Soul point for the blue side team, and OPL, they fluff the engage.
Yeah, Peng went a little too late, unfortunately. It was Twist. You know, you get the great engage, you find so much. Oh my word, okay, he gets out to safety. Another close escape for one of the Mirage, or for one of the OPL players. But Twist goes in, gets a big ultimate, then Shernfire follows up, but there is no damage there to follow. It was unfortunately too little too late, and Peng has a great TP angle. There was a pink ward behind the Dragon Pit that he managed to TP to, but wasn't there with the team in time. That game of, you know, milliseconds essentially that League of Legends is, costs OPL huge, and they lose 2 kills, they lose the Dragon. All of a sudden, game's starting to get more and more out of their hand.
And we talk about OPL as a team that has actually been fairly decent throughout the early stages, but when it gets to mid-game, they kind of lose on occasion. And I feel like that's a little bit of what we're seeing here, dude. They're not in an advantageous position, and in 4 minutes, they're going to have to fight for an Ocean Soul whilst their carries are nowhere near being ready.
Yeah, that's a pretty big concern for me at the very least. I'd certainly expect a lot more stock needed to be put into Oplon, into Bung, into Peng for them to be those big carry forces around that Ocean Soul if there's, you know, really any agency for them to be had. The one concern that we had for Mirage was that Rangjun wasn't as far accelerated in the game. Good news is that Cody Sun has stepped up nicely to be, you know, a force for them. And also, worth noting that now Rangjun also matching items for Peng. So the lead that there was in the mid lane for Oplon now been removed. We are just waiting for that point where these carries get online, and unfortunately that could come at a window that is too far gone. If there's an Ocean Soul across the enemy team, it could just be the nail in the coffin for Oplon.
It very much feels like Mirage are waiting for a reason to fight Oplon at this point, because that Drake is still a while away. Baron is not really something that you can, well, actually take for the next 20 seconds, but then realistically take for a few minutes after. I don't think that you're quite at that point where you can just start up the big purple worm. You need to get that fight beforehand. And so I think Oplon, they need to make sure that they're not giving away any silly advantages and not getting caught out, especially over the next few minutes. As Paranoia is actually going to be used in the mid lane. Shernfire going in, but going down again. They can't kill the Twitch. They can't kill the carries. A Twist is in the middle of everybody. Momentum is going to go forward with that Heartseeker strike. They don't quite find the Amumu with the hook, as Dalek is actually going to be focused down. Peng can't enter the fight. Bung can't enter the fight. And Mirage keep going forward. The hook flashed away from Raxor. Not quite able to find the engage. 1-for-1 in the mid.
Ooh, very tight affair here by both teams. 1-for-1, both junglers do fall. We see Oplon pull that engage button. They want to go for it and get the Twitch. They do burn the cleanse. Cody down 1 cooldown. He still has flash available though for the next time round. Drake not spawning for a few minutes yet still, so likelihood is that flash not going to be burned before then. That cleanse though, probably going to be on a cooldown. So crucial cooldown available that they have taken. And of course, worth mentioning that the kill there, I think, went to Dalek or Bung, whoever it was. It was a very worthwhile kill getting to one of the 2 carries that definitely needed an injection of gold this game. Essence Reaver finished 2 items on Ezreal, 2 items on GP. We're starting to see those items come to the fold.
Oh, Rangjun, no. Stunning pen! The flip back still comes through into the Paranoia as well, but Memento is here, not in time to prevent the shutdown going onto his mid lane, but still gonna flash forward, throws out the Harrow Path, but the Zhonya's is enough to buy Peng at some time, but still gets possessed, still gets taken out. Now Churnfire has to 1v3 under that tower, and it's not gonna happen. Godlike kill for Cody Sun.
Really good performances by Mirage this game. Yes, Rangjun gets taken down in the 1v2, but Memento, Cody, and Bad Lulu all there ready to respond. It comes at the cost of a top lane tier 1 turret, which is obviously going to be traded back in the spot side. Cody injected with even more gold. Means that he may well come into this Ocean Soul fight at 3 items. Kraken Slayer, Blade of the Ruin King, and it looks like the completed Rune on Hurricane all going to be available.
I mean, that is just absolutely terrifying. That's unlike anything I've ever seen. That's unlike Pluto. That's everything back playing on your headphones as you go into that play. You don't need an enchanter when you are this fed on a Twitch. And Oplon, they started to get some items coming through. You've got 2 items on Dalek. This GP got that extra sustain from the Ravenous. You've got that Zhonya's like we saw from Peng. Not enough to save him in this bot lane play. Maybe enough to save him in these team fights, but still, you're just a little bit too far behind this Twitch, which is the main man you need to watch out for.
Well, it has got an Executioner's Calling at worst case scenario, and they lose the Ocean Soul, but that is not going to be their plan by any means.
Raxor getting engaged on by Twist, but actually responding with a fair bit of damage of his own. Shernfire throws out the Paranoia, but gets knocked into the air. No one dead just yet on the side of Mirage's. Many tools have been thrown out, Raxo. Very, very low on this Nautilus. It's going to have to be going back to bed, and that may just be the signal for Oplon to move into this river to start up this dragon.
Very, very close affair around the Drake. Memento still full HP though. Still with every realm to get into the pit.
Yeah, Weaver's Wall, Bad Lulu only knocks back Shernfire, but the Nocturne being stunned is absolutely great for you. Forced to flash away, and there's not quite a range to get the smite.
No soul.
Yes, it is claimed. No soul for Mirage, no kills either.
really tight here around the Drake. No kills go over, but the soul denied for Oplon. You can see as soon as they get that soul, they are immediately out. They got what they came for, and they're not going to stick around any longer than they need to. Stop themselves from losing out on anything extra, and 5 more minutes has been bought for those crucial carries to start to come online. Talked about how powerful the Ezreal GP Azir is going to be. Those extra 5 minutes could well be instrumental in their comeback.
And I think that fight just showed how difficult it is going to be for Raxo to play a lot of these later fights, because you're looking for these dredge lines, you're looking for these engages on the Nautilus, but you're having to do that into Azir, you're having to do that into Ezreal, you're having to do that into GP. We've got so many tools to remove basically all of your health bar before the hook even lands. And if you're engaging in those situations, it's not going to go well for you.
Mirage still with a tall task ahead of them. We see that they have got this lead, but it's only 2k. Without getting that soul as well, the acceleration of that becomes a lot more difficult now. They do finally complete that sweep. All outer turrets have been secured. Now opened up that map just a little bit more so with all those turrets being taken down. They've got a bit more free roam in the mid lane as well with that mid-tier 2, and they still have their own safety net off the mid-tier 1 ready to go. So map advantages for Mirage, gold advantages, kill advantages. They do still have the upper hand here, but as we've addressed so many times thus far, there's that ticking time bomb that is these 3 carries of Oplon.
And fundamentally, the gold lead isn't growing. You can get as many Drakes as you like, but until you start getting Souls and Elders, they're not going to provide the same level of combat power that just straight up having more money does. And the fact that Oplon haven't fallen as far behind as maybe they should have done is going to bode really well for them. And it means that for the next few minutes, Mirage need to play a lot more aggressive than they have been.
Hopefully they can, start to find those engages themselves. We might need to see Maraxo stepping up a little bit more and looking for more aggressive looks, trying to find better targets potentially than just Twist. Bad Lulu as well. Mega Gnar timing, something that we don't too frequently get to talk about, but when we see the Mega Gnar start to come through, potentially we get to see more agency from Bad Lulu to go for those flanks. We saw him in the last team fight be the front line that did sponge a lot of time, but ultimately not enough to get the team out away from danger.
Ooh, Dalek is going to be caught out, though, as the Gnar pops over the wall, but doesn't land anyone with a stun. In dives Twist, but once again blown up. Can Oplon find the rest of the fight, though? It doesn't look like Lucian Barrow is going to be falling down. Double kill for the Taliyah. Triple kill for the Taliyah. Rangchen is looking sick. Peng knocks the Viego over the wall as Memento forced to disengage. 3 kills for Mirage. They lose their top laner as well. Oh, it's so tight again. Just knife's edge, but ultimately this is a fight that is won by Mirage once again. 3 for 1, and this is a bit akin to the game between Vitality B and Game Ward, where we see 3 kills go over, but they still can't do anything because the Ezreal Azir are alive. Those crucial members that they need to survive are doing so. This is that re-engage coming through, and again, it's just too delayed. No follow-up coming through. Peng is not with the team when they go for this engagement. If you try and swoop while they're all stunned by the Curse of the Sad Moment, it goes a lot better. Ultimately, it's just not been too successful just yet, and we're seeing these looks, these foreshadowings of potential team fights that can go Oplon's way. They just haven't yet executed on it. It's what's going to happen this game is at some point Oplon are finally going to have everyone on the same screen at the start of the fight. They're going to have Peng hitting level 16 fairly soon. Dalek is already at that point. The team fight potential from these champions is absolutely massive, but if you're team fighting outnumbered, it's not going to work for you. Yeah,
and that's it's whether or not they decide to pull on all of those strings that they've got. If they can work together as a team and finally fully set themselves up for that big engage, for that big 5 versus 5, as opposed to what looks like a 5v5 but is actually a 4v5 with an Azir within the vicinity, So we're constantly looking, we're just waiting, we're asking for Oplon to fully execute on their composition, utilize all those tools that we've seen them draft, and now need to see them execute on. Can they do it? Can they make the most of what they've given themselves?
Well, they're going to have to do it pretty soon, because in 30 seconds' time, Ocean Drake is spawning. And whilst Oplon were able to deny the soul from Mirage last time, I doubt that they're going to be given a similar opportunity this time around. Actually, cheating towards the Baron, saying to Mirage, yo, you can go and take that soul, but we're going to take the Baron instead.
It's a bit of a gamble if they are, just going to happily cede that Memento Turbo Chem tank as well, very fast if he wants to get in. What is that Baron HP at?
Oh my god, it's already down to 3,000. Raxo looking for something. Paranoia is going to be thrown out the steal. How has he done that? That was your memento. Cody Sun is legendary. And the fight. Oh, Mirage as Peng glides over the wall, but Bad Lulu follows him forward. Memento chasing him down. The Spectrum will dodged away from beautifully by that Zhonya's, but it's not going to buy you enough time. The steal from Mirage, the fight as well. Beautiful stuff.
And just a complete disaster for Oplon. The complete opposite for Mirage, excuse me. Absolutely no world where they should be looking for this Baron so brazenly in the face of Mirage. They're going to get to go back and get the Ocean Soul as well. This has been maybe the turning point of the game where we were saying, okay, you know, we're waiting for Oplon to opt into this big 5v5 together. That was not what we were hoping for in any capacity. A great steal by Memento. It is worth noting. Credit where credit is due. It's just faster fingers. Simply faster fingers. Gets it. And like we say, the fact that they're able to completely wipe the fight as well. Bung is the only one who manages to barely limp away. I think he has to teleport out or something. That just actually finds a good time to recall. So nothing too untoward there, but still. It's devastating for Oplon because they were so close. We felt like the tools were all there. They just fumble at the final hurdle.
And I mean, credit to Mirage, though. They did a really good job of splitting up that fight, so you never have Peng sat behind Schernfeiler dealing a load of this damage. It's all a little bit all over the place to a certain extent from Oplon. And now Mirage, they were able to pick up that Ocean Soul as well. They've got this Baron for another minute and a bit. I don't think inhib towers are going to be on the docket, but structures will be falling. And
that's certainly, you know, that's fairly decent if you are looking at this from the Mirage perspective. You're going to be looking to try and take down about as much as possible. And with that, obviously, in their back pocket, I'd like to see this Baron really put to good use. Second tier turret in the bot lane. Looks like it's going to be the focus of choice. If they can get that, that completes the sweep, and they can potentially start to try and crack open the base after that.
Yeah, we did see a slight rotate towards that mid side, but Dalek posted up there with the barrels. Excellent wave clear on this Azir as the Weaver's Wall is actually going to be thrown out, denying Oplon an entrance into that mid lane. But you see the wave clear there. They really don't want to step up to this GP.
I can understand it, but ultimately they're not getting anything from this. We've got Azir Ezreal doing the same sort of thing down in the bot side, excuse me. And they're clearing out these waves quite nicely as well. So this Baron, it's got a minute, it's got 15 seconds left on it. So they're not going to be able to break open the base with this in all likelihood. They may not even get this bot tier 2 with it. And what was, you know, a very big power play for Mirage, what could have been potentially game ending, fizzles out, and it's probably going to be nothing more than one turret taken.
I mean, maybe, potentially, that wave is going to be falling very low. Yeah, no, it's, don't even get this bot lane inner tower. And Rude do, I asked you about 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes ago. How did Mirage lose this game? They've done a very good job of not losing this game so far, but they weren't able to get maybe as much as they would have liked off that Baron push, still puts them in a great position actually going forward.
The important thing to remember is that League of Legends is not about not losing, it's about actively winning. And thus far, Mirage haven't taken the appropriate steps to winning the game. So they're not winning. I don't know quite how else to phrase that. Like you're saying, they're doing a great job at not losing. They're really not giving Oplon too much to work with in terms of them generating their own win conditions, but they've just had a Baron and the Ocean Soul for the last 3 minutes, and like we say, got very little out of it. There is an Elder going to be spawning in 2.5 minutes. Potentially that then will be their win condition to go to. The issue, of course, is at that point, we're going to be seeing 4-item Ezreal. We're already seeing 3-item Azir and Gangplank, and these champions have got to that late game point that we mentioned where they simply hurt. There's no other fine way of putting it. They do damage. We just need to see if Oplon can execute on their composition, something that we've been asking from them for a long time at this point. Group as 5, go for a fight, and make sure that you're doing it together.
Yeah, momentary, honestly, lapse in judgment from Oplon rather than anything else allows Mirage to move forward and take that tower, and that's big. Like, they were having real trouble clearing minions with the likes of Peng, likes of Dalek, just sat in that mid lane, and now with an open inhibitor, their path to the enemy nexus is a little bit clearer.
Important cooldowns to take note of, and important items as well I want to address. Guardian Angel for Memento. means it's going to be very difficult for him to go down within any real time. And then there's a stopwatch on Cody's son as well. His flash and cleanse are going to be available for any next fight that happens. Taking down this Twitch also not going to be easy. It was a triple kill that went to Rangjun even in the last fight, who has his own Zhonya's Hourglass. Granted, there's a lot of damage on OPL. They just don't have the same level of defensive tools available to them that Mirage do. So these team fights, granted, at this late game stage, we may start to give them a slight advantage purely compositionally, but we have to take in these external factors of, oh, an Ocean Soul, oh, a Stopwatch, a Zhonya's, and a Guardian Angel, and then, of course, the innate frontline that comes from Raxo having this Aftershock with the Locket of the Iron Solari, and then Gnar in the frontline as well.
It's the sorts of advantages that you don't necessarily consider in the moment. When you're diving in, when you think that you've got a catch on someone, sometimes you don't consider, oh, they've actually got this Ocean Soul, so they're going to be able to heal up a bunch. Oh, they've actually got Zhonya's, so our entire engage is completely stymied as Peng forced to dash away in this mid line. That's going to give Mirage a bit more priority onto this wave. That Elder is spawning in 45 seconds. And, I mean, in terms of vision, OPL, it's basically just Dalek running down on that bot lane.
Importantly, the Baron's already active. Dalek is making Mirage and the rest of this team make a choice. Baron is started. He has got Cannon Barrage and he's got TP if OPL want to contest. Cannon Barrage goes down. It's going to do a bit of initial poke.
Yeah, but it's just trying to dissuade Mirage
Cody's
away from that Baron. Cody, actually half HP. The Paranoia going to be thrown out as well, but Shermfire not really able to find a priority target. That's going to time out, and he's going to be fought back. Look at the bot lane. Inhib Tower has been taken down. Dalek on this split push game is going to force Mirage away from this Baron, and they are fumbling the shot calling in the late game.
And they've got inside track on the Elder Drake as well. I'm surprised Dalek didn't stick around for this inhib, but didn't quite know the timings on when those resets would come through. I don't know that this Elder is going to be easily simply taken, but Bad Lulu is going to have to TP. And now it's Mirage who have to face check an objective.
Yeah, the Gnar's going to be TPing in mini form as well. Doesn't have the range to go mega. There goes the Weaver's Wall. It's been taken by Bung. Elder for OPL. But look at the Pit Mirage dealing the damage. The Elder Drake doesn't matter when you can wipe open the fight.
Mirage win the fight against the odds, against the Elder Dragon. Cody steps up huge. The team fight before, they put a lot of poke down. Cannon Barrage, True Shot Barrage, all took Cody to about 60% HP. They did not have those tools available this time round. And now they can just walk down mid lane. They don't need the Baron. There is no chance Bunk can deal the 1v5 masterclass here. If he can clear the wave, that's his best bet. But True Shot Barrage not available. What do you do?
He's able to Arcane Shift away, but you can't win a 1v5. All Mirage needed was that fight. The buff didn't matter, but this Nexus does. Mirage take their second win of LFL Summer.
And that is crucial for them in their efforts to get away from that relegation spot. They have a chance at maybe getting out and not having to play in that promotional tournament if they can push Solari further down the board. A really crucial win for them in this week's games. And look up against an OPL that looked like they were struggling a little bit in the early stages, and then, of course, had the consecutive shaky team fights. And then they get an Elder, and potentially it all gets turned around. They